is, should hygienists be considered quote unquote specialists? And I wrote down three things: non-surgical perio, education, and prevention. I thought about this question because I'm not saying specialist in like in a formal way, but like informal way. Because I've heard many times people say that hygienists actually have more hours in perio than dentists do in dental school. I don't know how true that is, but I can kind of believe it, I think, because dentists have to cover everything basically in dental school. Plus, I see like after hygiene school, it's very easy for a hygienist that cares, at least, that wants to read all the time. It's very easy for a hygienist to kind of separate themselves from the dentist because they have to really stay on top of everything, whereas the hygienist can really focus on perio and whatever. So I can see that happening, but only if the hygienist is willing to really get into it per se. So I think informally, some dentists could see hygienists as specialists in those areas. What do you guys think? Andrew, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, I guess my problem with that, I'm going to say no. I don't think that they should be considered specialists or specializing. And as I was trying to figure out why I wanted to say no on that, I don't think that as we keep renaming what a hygienist is, whether, like we talked about before, in Washington State we have restorative hygienist, or we have the community health hygienist, or we have these, and I think we're kind of muddying the waters a little bit when we are specifically trying to get our name into like a different niche or a different subgroup, subculture, subcategory. So no, I guess is my answer for right now until you guys convince me otherwise.
Daniel?
I feel like it really conflicts with the real meaning of a specialist. A specialist means somebody who, in the dental field at least, somebody who's gotten beyond just going to dental school and committed X number of years, X number of extremely challenging and rigorous study, and all that effort that goes into it to become a designated specialist. Everything we do is part of our standard education, and we do focus a lot on prevention and perio, but it's still standard for us. I think labeling as a specialist kind of is sort of a self-serving kind of notion, but I could be wrong on that.
Trish?
Yeah, as far as being self-serving, we don't want to sound like we are above like a dentist or anything like that. But as using just the lexicon of a specialist, I think as preventive specialists, that's really what we are. There is no other dental specialist in the dentistry, and so yes, we are a specialist in that as far as preventing caries, looking at even parafunction before it starts causing problems, and of course perio and all of that sort of thing. So yeah, I think we can consider ourselves specialists, whether we promote that. I don't think that I would agree with you guys that we don't need that.
Yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't use the word myself either.
But we can use it among ourselves because
yeah, right.
as we identify to ourselves, well.
Yeah.
Well, I think also, there are several of us that are like on Hygiene Town and stuff. Some of you guys do parafunction and things like that. I have no idea anything about those types of things. So I would consider you guys maybe more of a specialist, and again, a very informal basis. I know Frances, she does a lot of perio stuff, using the perioscope and things like that. And there's a few other people on there that do that kind of stuff. Where, yes, between us, I would say, yeah, you are the perio specialist, you are the local anesthesia specialist, you are really good at these certain little subcategories, but I wouldn't formally call myself a specialist of anything.
Would you guys say, though, that it's very possible for a hygienist to really know a lot more than a dentist, maybe like on average, or some dentists will say, in that area of prevention or non-surgical perio? Or you know what I'm saying? I think most dentists will probably think, I know exactly what the hygienist knows and more. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I see it as, if we could add it all up, like pile it all up, they probably have more knowledge, of course, overall. But I think in certain areas, if we really wanted to, we can really create a big gap if we really wanted to, I think.
Well, I mean, the analogy of like putting out fires is what hygienists or dentists do for the most part. They are going around fixing all of the problems. Why not prevent the fires in the first place? And I mean, that's really what hygienists, where we're specialized to really focus on that. We have a different angle and a different focus from what dentists do. And so I think we need to explore that side of it and really highlight what that means to our patients and to the greater community too as well, and not just as we focus on our patients in our offices. We really do need to reach out and make this a kind of a platform that we are focused on keeping you out of the dentist chair, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we'd have a different public perception if we were named like preventionists instead of hygienists from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things, this was Krista McConaughey. You and I met her at the meeting. She had posted something. This just really kind of brought it out to me. Something that happened to her on a cruise. She was asked by two different couples at different times what she did for a living. The first time she said she was a dental hygienist, and they responded, "Oh." The next time she said she was an oral health care specialist. Nice. who collaborates with the dentist to prevent oral diseases. And she said that they responded that, well, I wish my dentist had one of those. Hello? I mean, it's just all in perception and how we present ourselves, I believe.
Yeah, to me, I think the word hygienist is just not really well known. So many patients still today they don't know what it means. They just think we're a nurse or we're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, yeah, whatever. They don't really know what it is. And I think it's probably, unfortunately, a lost cause to try to educate people. Because people know what a dentist is, they have a general idea what a dentist is, but a hygienist, and they're kind of confused, it seems like.
Yeah.
Right.
Going back to your question, Mark, on whether or not maybe we know more than dentists in this particular thing. The thing I've noticed with working over the last few years with several dentists is it seems like, and maybe it could be because of the advent of online CE courses or the dental towns of the internet, the Reddits and stuff like that, but it seems like the newer groups of the last 15 or 20 years that have graduated to be more investing their time into the hygiene side of things, the prevention, and things like that. I don't know if it's just maybe a cultural shift that we're experiencing, but it seems like my doctor's only been graduated probably maybe 20 years or so, and he really has a focus on that prevention, whereas the dentist I had before, who is now retired, didn't even care. He didn't care about the probings. He didn't care about anything. Everything's a quad scale, SRPs, if it's more than a year of between cleanings and things like that. So I wouldn't say that we know more, but I think the dentists are actually getting more involved, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say it probably goes both ways. I mean, you can have a hygienist come out of school and really not get into it and really not learn that much more, and they kind of stay stagnant at that, what they learn in school, basically. Or you can have a hygienist that really gets into it and reads and 10 years down. I mean, I'm a different hygienist than I was 7 years ago. Some hygienists are probably worse than they were 7 years because they didn't really get into it. And then some dentists, the same thing. Some dentists probably don't care too much about perio, and they kind of lose that knowledge. And so it probably goes both ways. I mean, probably many dentists will stay on top of those things too, just as much as a hygienist, and be just as knowledgeable, but they can just fall off track like any hygienist could and not get into it after hygiene school, basically.
I think one of the trends that has really developed over the past years, and this is just going by what I've read online and how I've spoken with things I've garnered from speaking to older dentists, is that with the advent of, or the development of evidence-based dentistry, now there's like kind of a generation that's looking more for the research, looking to see what actually works, what's proven to work, what is likely to actually affect health outcomes, whereas it seems like in like maybe up to the 90s or so, it wasn't the same as far as curriculum and hygiene school goes. But again, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But that's kind of what it seems like.
That sounds about right to me.
like it used to be a world of just textbooks, and now we've got the internet, we've got easy access to journals and studies and random controlled trials, and there's just so much more opportunity to learn how to take an evidence-based approach to dentistry.
That's a good point, Daniel, because I was in high school in the 80s. I'm 42 years old, and I remember doing papers for class, going to the library, like
microfiche.
Yeah, microfiche. Like now it's like so quick to do a report, because you just go online and find stuff. And I look back on those years. I can't imagine going back to that world.
Well, exactly. And I mean, we all have pretty much instant knowledge of when new products come out. We don't have to wait for the reps to come around to our offices and tell us when, whatever Profi cup is out and what's the best. It's like it's all out there on the internet for us to find, even, products as well as information and education and all that sort of thing. So it almost makes all of the CE requirements a moot point because we get educated every single day. We just don't get credit for all of the things that we do, get in our inboxes and that sort of thing. So yeah, there is, but the people that want to be educated are the ones that are kind of focused in on that group. There's no way to assure that all of the hygienists are, involved in dental hygiene like that. So it is voluntary. So of course, all of us are very much, on the edge of that. Yes.
As far as the part of education, we hygienists are with the patients most of the time. So I think that we naturally fall into that role of education, even educating things about what the dentist does. So I think that's like an excellent place for hygienists to develop skills, communication skills. And I think probably too many hygienists don't do that, and they don't want to sell, quote unquote, sell dentistry or whatever the issue is. So what do you guys think about that? Us being the primary education person in the office.
I think you'll see a lot of dentists on the dental town boards whenever a hygiene topic comes up, saying that they rely on their hygienists to kind of prep patients for treatment. Say, you might hear X, Y, or Z from the dentist, this is what's going on, and they kind of not sell dentistry, but really get the patient ready to be open-minded or to hear what the dentist is going to say to them. So they find that they are a really integral part of actually performing or treatment planning dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
And along those lines, as far as building that relationship, having that trust that happens between a hygienist and a patient, they don't see you as having a vested interest in whatever the dentist is going to do. And basically, like Daniel said, is that we do prep the patients so that they understand what's best for them, so that they choose to get the treatment done that needs to be done versus thinking, well, only the dentist said something about it, so it must not be important.
Well, we do in our office. I start off the appointment by saying, hey, my name's Andrew, or hey, so-and-so, good to see you again, and I'll be taking care of you today. And I just set it up just like that. This is what we have planned. We're going to do x-rays, we're going to do a cleaning, doctor's going to come in and do an exam. And then during my time with them, I tell them my assessments, right, because we don't diagnose. And I just assess everything and say, in the past, this is what doctors said before. He's probably going to tell that to you too. So just be prepared for that. And then, again, it isn't selling anything. It is telling the patient that, hey, I'm invested in you also. Together, doctor and I and you are going to be a partnership, and we're going to fix whatever the problem is if you have one.
Very good. Let's see. Any more points about those areas? I can go to the next question if you guys want. About the first question? Nothing? We're good? All right. So we're not specialists. All right, wrote that down. Well, don't say it out loud, at least.